show. So thanks everyone for coming. I have some stuff organized today, but what happened last week was we ran out of time because we ran with what you guys needed, which is really what coaching is, right? Versus training. The difference is, where are you guys at and what can I do to help? And so whether I have a context here, I still want to make it about you guys today, for sure. So we're going to start off just with a reminder of some of the work that we've done. We talked a little bit about mindset, and today is the day we're going to go deep on mindset. I mean, deep in the context of how deep we can go. It's really a lifelong study, and I'm putting an awful lot of study into it right now because I do think that mindset is going to be the key thing in everything moving forward, right? To be able to integrate with AI in the changing world, our mindset is the one thing that we absolutely want to commit to being able to choose and manage so that we can do the learning that's going to be required for the new world. But in the short term, getting deals done now is absolutely about mindset, being able to find and attract clients and being able to actually negotiate transactions. So we're going to go do some work on that today. We talked about perspective, this idea that we can choose how we see things. It kind of ties in with mindset, but it's a sort of a precursor to mindset. When we understand our ability to recognize not only our own perspective, but other people's perspectives and validate those, it gives us that opportunity to choose our mindset. So perspective is something that we've been talking about. And then this idea of getting a little bit more practical has been having meaningful conversations about real estate. If anyone's just joining us for the first time, we do have a Dr. Suess theme going here. It's just to kind of lighten it up and keep it fun. I came up with the idea. I was reading the book, Oh, the Places You'll Go. And there's a line in there that I've always loved, and it's unslumping yourself is not easily done. But because it's not easily done doesn't mean it's not doable, right? And it is doable. And that's sort of where the theme of this came from. So hence, if you're looking at what's with the weird pictures, that's what's going on here. And so we talked about how to have meaningful conversations. And I got some really good feedback and questions on that. And, there's no magic bullet to be good at question asking immediately. I can tell you it's not scripts. And I can tell you that it takes a ton of practice to become excellent, and that learning never stops. But mindset, I believe, is the hugest piece of that. So our ability to have meaningful conversations is about what questions do we ask people? What questions are we asking ourselves? And all of that is mindset work. And when you have a great mindset, one that's based in curiosity, you'll find that the questions and the conversations flow incredibly naturally and effectively. So all this work starts to tie together. We had really kind of told you guys with my one-on-one coaching clients, what I do. If you can just mute yourselves, maybe everybody can mute themselves, just so we don't get any background noise. That'd be awesome. I could just mute you all. Why don't I just mute you all? There you go. So now if you want to speak, you have to unmute. I got you. I got control here. But I was saying with my one-on-one clients, and they pay me a ridiculous amount of money. And basically all I do is calculate how many conversations they should have each week. And then if they have those conversations and they make their desired amount of money, it sounds so easy. And the truth is that something gets in their way, right? For some reason, they have trouble having these conversations. And there's all sorts of psychology around that. But, that was the simple thing was, if you have this many conversations, you'll make a living, make a great living, in fact, in many cases. And so we talked about that, and we've been playing around with that, and we'll tie those meaningful conversations into our mindset work today. But I kind of wanted to start off with how many people, I just put into the chat room, if you counted your conversations, how many did you have in the last week? And no lying, right? You can't say, I wanted to have 25 and I had 20, unless you actually had 20. And it's okay if you didn't keep track. That's okay. I just want to know, did anybody keep track of how many conversations they had? And that's sort of what I wanted to know. Look at that, Joanna, go. You tell the people who are keen, go answer first, right? It's like, I did it. I had 20. Okay, good work. Awesome. Beautiful. Look at that. Look at you guys. Woohoo. Okay. So now the next question is, how do you feel about that? So how do you feel about the number of conversations you had? And just be honest. I'm not here to judge your feeling. I'm just curious how you feel about the number of conversations you had. This is self-judgment, you guys. I just want the feeling. I feel happy, proud, bummed out, Awesome. And we're going to talk about self-judgment today, which is why I posed this question, right? Of course, I'm setting you guys up for success. I feel good. I feel good. Do, 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 do. And that's an option, right? So if you do what you want to do, you feel good about it. And that's pretty sweet. So good work to you guys that did try and had some conversations and are starting to do the work that matters. I'm really super happy about that. We're going to start with a breakout so you guys can start sharing some ideas with each other. And, you know, again, these the huge pictures here, mindset, perspective, and having conversations. This is the work we've done so far. And so in your breakout group, I just want you to share with people in your group something that you've done differently as a result of the unslumping sessions so far. So if this is your first one, obviously you're not going to have a lot to add, except maybe listen to people and tell them how awesome they are, which would be really beneficial. So yeah, and try to, it says here, share time with the others. I think last week I'd said 3 sentences, and that's, you know, I don't want to limit you guys to that, but I want you to be very conscious that there's going to be like 5 people in your group and only 5 minutes for the breakout. And one of the important things is to share your thoughts, but also to accept the sharing of other people's ideas. Because that's a, you know, pretty important and supportive way to go. So yeah, so just be conscious of the time sharing. I heard a lot of really positive stuff. So thank you. It's really meaningful to me to hear, motivated by authentic conversations and meaning and connection and, you know, all of the things that I kind of gotten stripped out of our business that are really essential to our success right now. So yeah, very cool. Let's go here. And so when we talk about conversations, we did a lot of work on this last week and we role played a couple, which is why we ran out of time, which was good though, because we got to see some different things. But the follow-up slide to that was, you know, we're really in the depth of these meaningful conversations, you know, it's this, be able to pick up social cues, right? That we're taking information from them. We're not like just, you know, asking questions that are like, you know, a computer might ask, boom, 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 boom. Really taking the social cues from them, acknowledging them, right? And because that reduces defensiveness. Hey, you know what? I kind of hear what you're saying, or I really get the sense that this is difficult for you, or, you know, acknowledging emotions or acknowledging their situation, or with another agent, acknowledging that they're very busy or that they're doing a good job for their client. Some sort of an acknowledgement. Basically what happens is they no longer need to defend their position because you've just acknowledged their position. So they don't need to defend it anymore. So it drops you down to a whole new level of conversation. And then the final one is ask non-judgmental questions. And it's like, what the heck is that? We love judgment. That person is too purple. We love it, right? Too long, too tall, too short, too rich, too poor, too weird, too wonderful. We judge as a part of our culture, positively and negatively, because that's what our culture is based on. And so then we say, well, stop doing that. And we go, well, that's not so easy. You know, it's not so easy, but it's a really critically important piece of negotiation, of client attraction, of human interaction, is non-judgmental questions. And how do we do that? We can see the Grinch here. If he's asking this question and he looks like this, we're obviously going to know he's up to something, and we're going to feel incredibly judged, and we're going to be super careful about how we answer that question, which is not what we want when we're trying to build really, really strong human connections. And so how do we learn to do this? I mean, it's a big field of thought, but it's, you know, this is one woman who has had a remarkable impact on me and on many of you and on tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people. She's just speaking in Barcelona to the World Trade Organization on how questions thinking can allow people to have a mindset that allows for more creative problem solving in our current times. And her thing is questions thinking. So we're gonna go in there. We're gonna do a little bit of her work. I think you guys know that she and I are going to share a Zoom in September, and she and I are talking about putting some sort of program together for realtors together. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but we're working on it. We'll see what happens. But I mean, obviously, I have a lot of respect for Marilee. My version of it is great questions are based in a mindset of curiosity, and this is where Marilee's and my work really, really connect. It's very similar, just slightly different language. And I truly believe that. I truly believe when you're going to ask questions that are going to move the relationship forward, move the negotiation forward, moving the opportunity to represent them forward, that it's those questions come from a mindset of curiosity and not a script. And you guys know I think that because you're all here. But how do we get good at that? And it's, first of all, is the belief. Same old thinking will get you the same old results, and new mindset, new results, right? Like that we actually have to do the mindset work to get any change in our behavior, in our performance. It's not, and most coaching companies are going to tell you, okay, do this, change your behavior. And yeah, I can tell you, if you change your behavior, your results will change. But most of us are not able to change our behavior without changing our mindset, because the behavior is as a result of mindset. Hence why new mindset, new behavior, new results. So it's not that there's anything wrong with the other coaching companies and what they're telling you. It's just too simple an explanation. That's all it is. They're right. Change your behaviors to change your results, but behaviors are hard to change. So we're going to do a little exercise here. I have to find my notes. Okay. So I put all these squiggles up because this is like, I just want you to be in your own space here, because we're going to do some like sort of intuitive work. Oh yeah. Suze is getting wiggy again. All right. I'm going to ask you some questions, and I want you to really see what they make you feel. I want you to imagine that you're asking these questions of yourself with your internal dialogue. Okay, so this is your internal dialogue asking you these questions, and then we're going to see how it makes you feel. All right. Can you find the questions here? Why can't I get my buyers to be more motivated? What's wrong with them? Why is this market so challenging? What else could go wrong? Will central banks raise interest rates more? Why is the media being so negative? I know, I just took you guys all to a really bad place. I get it. I know, I did it deliberately. I promised to bring you back. So the question is, the set of the questions that I would like you to put into the chat room. Does it make your energy go up or down? Energy level up or down? All you're going to put is up or down. Energy level up or down into the chat room. Okay, and self-confidence, up or down? Desire to be with people, up or down? Right, and then desire to collaborate. We got one up mixed in and all of them down, so a couple ups, okay. All right. So sorry to take you guys to that place. You really all feel really crummy, right? Well, maybe not all of you, but most of you feel really crummy right now. Okay, we're going to sit on the couch and bitch and complain and mope and slump. Okay, but now let's try another one. Different set of questions. So shake that one off, close that one down. And these is your internal dialogue asking you these questions. How can I connect with my buyers more meaningfully? Deals are happening. How can I get my share? How can I help my sphere understand what's really going on in real estate? Where are the possibilities in this market? What opportunities does a transitioning market offer? How can I see this differently? What can I learn? All right, energy, up or down? Self-confidence, up or down? Aha. Desire to be with people? And then finally, desire to collaborate? Right. So maybe the answers are quite obvious, but I wanted you to participate in that. So Merrill Lee's thing around mindset is that the questions we ask ourselves determine the mindset that we're in. And the mindset that we're in determines the behaviors we do. And the behaviors we do obviously are completely about the results we get. And so this idea of being able to choose a different mindset is the work that she does. And there's other people that do it. I think Christine had mentioned someone who hadn't read yet, Christine. So I'll take a look at Andrew Hooverman. There are many, right? There are many, not many. There's quite a number of people at a very high academic level who deal with this whole idea of mindset and how do we do it. But the other really cool thing is, so Merrill Lee's work is about the questions we ask ourselves. But as realtors, as negotiators, as entrepreneurs, we want to really also translate this into the questions that we ask other people. And judgment is very, very interesting, right? So judgment is the opposite of curiosity. Judgment is, I know. Curiosity is, I don't know. And this is a really key piece for, when you're talking to clients, like, oh, I know what kind of person this is. Oh, I know what they're going to say. Oh, I know what they're thinking. That's judgment. And curiosity is, I wonder what's really going on for them. I wonder what they're really experiencing. I wonder how I can help them, right? That curiosity is the opposite, and this sort of questions thinking. What's really cool, I was doing some research yesterday on AI, as probably everybody is doing continued research on AI. They say that the two industries that are going to get affected the fastest, all industries will be affected. The two that get affected the fastest, are you ready? Education. I'm an educator. And the second one, real estate. I'm an educator in the real estate field. And so I'm like, okay. And I can tell you that the more I learn, the more I realize that there's going to be huge opportunities in real estate for the people that learn and adapt. I'm not going to get into the detail because I don't think any of us know what that looks like, but everything I'm seeing and learning is true. But one of the things that's absolutely coming out about AI is the quality of the questions we ask AI are everything, right? So the questions engineer, prompt engineers are going to be the highest paid people in our society. Well, prompt engineers are just excellent question askers, right? And so it's kind of cool that this quality of asking questions changes our own mindset so that we can change our behaviors. The questions we ask other people determine how much they're going to like and trust us. And now the questions we ask AI will determine our place in the new world order. So obviously there's a whole lot of stuff on this questions thinking that's pretty entertaining and super interesting. So sort of ties it all together there. So Marilee's work. So I have read Marilee's book several times, and I probably recommended it a couple of thousand times. And if you haven't read it, it's an easy read. It's really basically a story that foretells a really interesting thing about mindset. And so it's a pretty easy read, and it's a good summertime read, but it's a deep concept with an easy read. And she talks about the choice map. I can't review her whole book here. It would take us forever. But this is the idea that we have a choice, and she calls them learner judger mindset. I call them judger and curiosity. And I think the curiosity thing is for me, what really lands. And it's that idea that we have a choice, right? So something happens. If we now are present enough and self-aware enough that we have a choice, we can choose to be curious, choose to be a learner. And based on that curiosity or that learner, we will proceed in a way asking our own self really positive questions and asking positive questions of people around us. And so that's the sort of the basic concept. And so as you do this work, one of the things you learn is that we cannot always be in learner or curious mindset. It's not possible. Human beings by nature have multiple mindsets, and you will default back into judge your mindset. I love it, man. I walk down the street sometimes and I'm like, well, look at that person's fancy car. And what do they got that purse for? And why'd they say that? Right? We love it. It's all inside. It's not like we're saying that outwardly. So the idea that we can completely give up judge your mindset is ridiculous. We can't. But we can choose learner or curious mindset when it's going to be beneficial, which is most of the time, right? Interacting with people, working towards our negotiations, even working with your children, particularly teenagers. These sorts of mindsets can make a big difference. And so one of the things that can help is setting up a reminder to remind yourself to choose the mindset of learner or curious, depending what you call it. And so that's kind of what I want you guys to do here. I'm just looking at the time. Yeah, we do have time. So I want you to think for a moment, because what we're going to do and report back on in our next session is, changing your behavior based on mindset change is about taking consistent steps towards your goals. It's not like overnight you're going to be like, yeah, I'm done. I'm having my 25 awesome conversations every day, and I've got so much business. I don't know what I'm doing with. That's not how it goes. It's this consistency of steps to build momentum. We're building momentum, and we want to sort of have this sort of way of checking in to make sure that we're staying focused. That would be the accountability side of coaching, which is only part of it, but it is a thing. And so I want us all to think about a mindset reminder so that we can consistently every day make more choices to be in the mindset that's going to get us the results that we want. things that you might want to think of. Like some people come up like they put their watch on the wrong hand, right? They put it on the opposite wrist. And every time they go to look at their watch, they're like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be curious. They put a sticky note on their mirror. They have something on their phone screen. They set an alarm. There's a million different things. And each of you wants to design something that's meaningful for you. I'm going to put you in breakout groups. Let's go with different groups just so you get a little bit of different exposure. And you're only going to have 5 minutes. But what I would like is for everybody to have a set mindset reminder by the end of that breakout group. So you guys can talk about them. You don't all have to pick the same one. Like you want to pick one that's suitable for you. But there's an idea to brainstorm some really fun and outrageous ideas about mindset reminders. That was really cool. I just like dropped in and eavesdropped on a bunch of the groups, and I was like, oh, there's some really cool ideas here. And you know, I don't think we want to take a huge amount of time to debrief that, but the idea was just to brainstorm different ideas that we could do. So there was a couple of things I noticed. I think almost every group was referencing positive versus negative, like negative thinking versus positive thinking. And that's a thing, right? Negative mindset, positive mindset. But I'm really going to invite you to change that from negative to judgment and positive to either learner or curious, because a huge amount of really cool stuff happens. Because even if we're judging in a positive way, it can hold us back from being able to ask the question that might really be important to the conversation that we're having. And so it's just an invite to take it to the next step over positive negative, because there's lots and lots of work that most of us have done on positive negative, and it's all very true. And so it's just an invitation to take it to that next place of judgment versus learner or judgment versus curious. And so you guys have had a chance, I really would like everyone to commit to a mindset reminder. And I want you to throw it into the text box. We're not going to share it with anybody. There's just this act of you writing it out that helps. I'm actually going to do, so what I decided to do is I was hearing through the group, so I don't wear any rings. And I notice I have a lot of really nice rings. I'm going to put a ring on. And I'll notice it because rings feel really awkward when you haven't been wearing them for a long time. So I know I'm going to be like, at least for a week, I'll be going, oh, that ring. Oh, right. I'm supposed to be in a more curious mindset. So please share in the chat room what you're committing to as your mindset reminder. And I'm going to look at these. I'm not going to share them with the group, so you're safe, but I'm going to personally look at them. And we'll get you guys to all throw them in there. And this is like, one of those things, we get those books and they have exercises in them. And if you do the exercise, you get the benefit of the learning. And if you don't do the exercise, you don't get the benefit of the learning. This would fall into that category. I can't make you do it, but I can absolutely tell you, if you do this, it will make a remarkable difference in your ability to get into action, to see things in a bigger, more enlightened way, and start getting some business going and put a smile back on your face. So there you go. Put it all out there. That's awesome. And then in the remaining time we have, so the books I want you to think about reading is obviously Change Your Questions, Change Your Life. I think it's worth the price and the time, and it's an enjoyable book. So if you haven't read it, most people who read it have a significant shift in the quality of their life. Not everybody, of course, right? But most people do. And so that's the thing. And the other thing I'd like you to actually consider is, if you haven't read The Places You'll Go, because everything that we're talking about is in this book. And it's a children's book, and the publishing company's made it available for free through a PDF. And I think Sam sent you a copy at some point, and with the full pictures and everything. And the cool thing about this book is it takes you on this dance, right? That's like super optimistic, and then you fall into a hole, and then everything gets really good again, and then you get really lonely, and then this happens, and blah, 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 right? Which is exactly what life is always, right? It's this undulating movement between moods. And what I really felt from people was that this idea of unslumping oneself. And so I just wanted to take you through a few pages that I thought were really, really good. So this is the sort of the beginning of his first dark stage. You can get so confused, and you'll start into race down long wiggled roads at a breaknecking pace, and grind on for miles across weirdish wild space, headed, I fear, for the most useless place, the waiting place. And I really see this in realtors, like, well, I'm doing social media and I'm doing this and I'm researching AI and I'm doing all this stuff. And it's leading me to the waiting place. And the waiting place is just people waiting. And you can read through this. It's a beautiful piece of poetry. I won't read through it. You know, it's just all these people waiting for a train to go or a bus to come or a plane to go, right? And it goes on and on and on. Everyone is just waiting. And right now, I think a lot of people are waiting for the market to change. The market's fine. It's different than it's been, but we're at about 10-year averages for number of transactions. The market is fine. There's nothing to be waiting for. And that's a really important thing. Because what happens in the waiting place is that we feel very lonely. And in some cases, that loneliness becomes more serious and becomes social anxiety, which is what I just wrote about for REM. And hopefully you guys all just received it. If you didn't get it in your inbox on Monday from REM, then it was just emailed out to you as this week's blog. And you know, this is the worst thing for realtors, because we're connectors, we're community. We're about building community. We're about enjoying community. We're about sharing community. And, you know, so if as a realtor, you're feeling lonely and socially anxious, obviously you need some help, and that help could come on a simple level from some of the things I've written in the article. And in some cases you might need help that's a little bit more serious than that. So it's all available there, but available for you. But, you know, again, you go back to this, you know, piece of incredible children's literature, All Alone. Whether you like it or not, alone is something that you'll be quite a lot. And then he goes on to say, but wait, no, that's not for you. Somehow you'll escape all that waiting and staying, and you'll find the bright places and the boom bands are playing. And so there's, you know, there's an exit from this. There's an option. And that option comes from mindset. And mindset comes from the questions that we ask ourselves. And it's not positive in per se, because, you know, there's a lot of really hard things going on in the world right now. So that's the idea of being curious and creative, and that learner mindset is that we can acknowledge that the world is a little bit difficult right now, and we can still have a mindset that allows us to, you know, feel really curious, ask the right questions, get some business going, find joy amongst all of the things that are going on. We did do this slide really quickly last week because we talked about, you know, what are some of the people who are feeling this loneliness, and any of these sorts of addictions. And I don't have to even get curious addiction. I'm not saying, oh, if you drink a lot of red wine, you're an alcoholic. But some of us are drinking a little more red wine than we maybe should be, or we're spending a little bit too much time in the hole around social media, you know, endless scrolling, or that comfort food is just too darn appealing. And this isn't, you know, I'm not talking about addiction in a sense that you need professional help, although that's a thing for some people, but just this, that when we're alone or when we have some anxiety, that we tend to turn to these things, and these things propagate it, right? That when we turn to these things, it causes our mindset to fail. And when our mindset fails, we turn to these things. And so it's this endless loop. And so this idea of just making little improvements in your lifestyle actually has a huge impact on your ability to choose your mindset. So yeah, I'm not saying if you're not an alcoholic, you don't have to give up wine. But like for me, I'm just trying to do it like a couple nights a week when I'm with people on the weekends. And the rest of the time, I'm like, maybe it's some green tea. So those sorts of things can make a big difference. I'm certainly not going to pretend to be an addiction therapist. And if your addiction is more serious than that, then, like, you know, ignore Suze and do what needs to be done. But these little improvements in lifestyle go a long way. And so the book goes on. This is why I'm really just trying to encourage you to read this book, because there's some really, really cool stuff here. Because, right, this is the second time he drops into the sort of negative, scary place. But he faces it, right? He faces the demons, and then he reconnects with people, and ultimately, Yahoo, everything comes together, and hey kid, you'll move mountains, right? And so the optimism, that is, despite the reality that there are challenges, there's this overwhelming optimism about life that's pretty cool. And I think that's for those of us that are entrepreneurs, you know, right now, I think these sorts of things are the real key to being able to manage our mindset work as we go. So what do I have for takeaways? And then I'm going to have a conversation that'll give you guys a chance. So So getting into action, right? That consistent steps. Have meaningful conversations with people about real estate. That's just your default as a realtor. And you just want to keep getting better at those, more comfortable at them. And if you don't have them, it's going to be really hard to, make a satisfactory living in real estate. I mean, it's just that thing. And yeah, there's real things that hold you back. I can remember, I have to do it too. I have to reach out and talk to people all the time. I remember when I was just starting my coaching company, there was one broker manager who just wouldn't talk to me. She'd never returned calls, and she'd gotten her assistant to say they weren't interested. But for some reason, I really wanted her. I remember sitting out front of her office, and I wanted to just drop in because I was in a different city. And I remember feeling it in my body, the tension and the resistance and the fear that she'd yell at me when I went into her office. And I was like, how do I make this decision? I'm so afraid. I'm so anxious about doing this, but I still want to do it. And I know it's important for me to do it. And I ultimately, pushed through, and I was super nervous, and I had all this, my chemicals were in my body were going crazy. And she laughed. I met her and she goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're here." And she shook my hand and took me into her office. And I told her how nervous I was. And we both had a really good laugh. And I said, and that's why I can help your agents, because I understand resistance. It's real. It's real. So it's not about not feeling resistance. It's about what do you do to overcome that resistance, to do the work that you want to do, to build the life that you want to have. So having meaningful conversations is something you really want to take a commitment on. Consciously choose that learner mindset. Your reminder. Do your reminder. I'm going to check in when we meet in a couple of weeks about that reminder. And if it was beneficial and you kept to it. Make small lifestyle improvements daily. And I think this is really important right now. I'm trying to turn my phone off when I don't need it. I'm trying to leave it behind when I go sailing. Like I'm trying to, get off the social media scrolling. It doesn't mean I don't want to check into Facebook and have conversations with my sphere once in a while, but that's very deliberate as opposed to the just clunk, clunk, clunk scrolling through. I think scrolling through social media mindlessly is just as dangerous as having too much alcohol. I think it has just as big a negative impact on your mindset. And then finally, learning when we're learning is a real way to keep our mindset good, because if you're constantly learning and curious about new things, that of course activates that curious mindset and helps everything. I'm constantly learning. I am podcasting like mad dog about AI, and I'm finding it incredibly fascinating. Like there's some really neat stuff going on in the world, and it gives me optimism to be doing that research, because I can see that there's going to be opportunities for my sphere of realtors in the new AI world. I also can see that there's going to be opportunities for me as an educator. They won't be easy, but they're going to be really cool. So those are my recommendations for next steps. In case anyone has to leave early, I think it is our next opportunity to meet is, I think, 3 weeks away, because I'm going on a camping adventure on my little 15-foot wooden sailboat. And I are going to go camping around the Gulf Islands with a bunch of other crazy people who have little 15-foot sailboats camping around the Gulf Islands. Like, yeah, that's weird. Remembering I own a yacht that I could go on with a wine cellar and duvet, but I'm not doing that. So I'm crazy, but I won't see you guys for 3 weeks. And so our next coaching session is here. You'll get a reminder from Sam, because Sam isn't coming on an adventure. She's going to work and run the world. So it's lays out. So this will be your last chance to sign up for the negotiation coaching. There's a couple of spots left. This is going to be, like, honestly, this is going to be the coolest program I've ever run. And I've really priced it to check the box of people who are having a hard time right now. Right. It's meant to be that way. It's going to be starting in September. It'll run at $395 per month. But if you sign up before August, it's $295 for as long as you stick with the program. I know this sounds like a bit of a sales pitch, and it is a bit of a sales pitch, but that's okay. If you don't sign up now, then you sign up September, you pay more. I've got the Become a Coach program happening in August when I come back. So again, that's coming up really soon if you want to become a coach. I haven't run this program since before the pandemic, and it's probably my favorite teaching opportunity. And so it's August 21, 22, 23. There will be long days. They're going to be 6-hour online days, but it's only a small group. It'll be max 10 people. And the people who signed up already are like unbelievably amazing. So I just wanted to give you the pitch on that, but let's go back to you guys. And so that sort of ends the formal for today, but because we were saying last time, we didn't have a lot of time to share. I'd love to take any questions, or, I have a challenge or any curiosities about what we've been covering so far from you guys. So you either put your hand up. Yeah, put your hand up in reactions. because I don't have you all on the screen. And yeah, let's share a few questions. Should we go to the Q&A slide?